Mic check. It's going. Good evening. Today is August 5, 2021, 7 p.m. Welcome to the Village of Vernon Board Meeting. I will call the Village Board meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Roll call and open meeting law compliance check.
President Carl Fortner.
Present.
Trustee Jim Slani. Present. Trustee Dan DeGrave. Trustee Marie Kumershek. Trustee Lorene Dashik.
Present.
Mr. President, note for a record, you do have a quorum of your village board. Also note for a record that John Henneberry, the DPW director, is here, and also our outstanding law enforcement Deputy Ward Hollingsworth and Chris Peterson are here in attendance. Mr. President, the agenda was posted inside and outside the Vernon Town Hall to the media on the Village of Vernon's website and to other entities within the Village of Vernon. You are in full compliance with the open meetings law.
Thank you. Thank you. Item 4, I need to announce a possible closed session, consideration and possible action on a motion to convene into executive session under Wisconsin statutes 19.85(1)(e), deliberating of negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, more specifically negotiations regarding the North Prairie Joint Municipal Court Agreement, Village of Waukesha for Shared Services, Tower Site, Inc., and Waste Management Contract. Included in the closed session will be the Vernon Village Board and the Vernon Village Clerk Administrator. Motion will require a roll call vote. We're on to number 5, public comments. We have no members of the public present, so we will go on to the agenda. The Waukesha Sheriff is here. It will deviate unless there's an objection. For any, I understand that you don't have any report, Deputy Ward Hollingsworth, but if the board has any questions or would like to pass some information along, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, you can go back out and patrol.
Can you wave, Carl, Ward, and Chris? Wave. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. First up is the North Prairie Joint Municipal Court Agreement. I did put it down as a possible closed session item. Of course, Trustee Jim Slani has been heading up that agreement. If there's a reason to go on the closed session, we'll certainly defer taking action until we come out of closed session. If there is no reason, everybody got in the packet the revisions on the agreement that were suggested by the village attorney for 4 of the 5, municipalities on the agreement. Trustee Slani?
Yes, I see no reason to go into closed session, number one. And once again, our attorney had an opportunity, because he was at the McGlanago's meeting, which was the last municipality to sign off on it. And there he made a couple changes yet again. One of them was actually in there and was actually wrong all the time, where it was a statute, and it was supposed to refer to the entire statute and referred to paragraph 1 of the exact statute. Not a big deal. The second change was where he changed what we had already changed. And McGlanago, for some reason, didn't pick up on the fact that we had changed it, where we changed from the referencing the number of citations to determine a percentage to the percentage of the actual budget, because it was in reference to what each municipality would have to pay as the minimum you only had one citation, you were still gonna pay 1% of the, of the total cost. And so that did, and we had already made that change in ours and in 3 of the other ones, but McGuanago hadn't picked up that change. And then there was one other change where I think it was Eagle, I don't remember which, if it was the town or Vernon, had added, at the very end, like in section 9, had added the verbiage of the municipal court at the very end where it was referencing, saying something about has to get sent to the court. And somebody finally asked, well, which court? Because there's a whole, there's a number of them. So that's the sum total of all the changes from the last time. So what we need to do is first rescind the agreement that we agreed to last month. So I'll make that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Obviously, it needs to be done if we're going to approve the revised agreement, so we should rescind the old one just because we don't want it two agreements. And we all understand which agreement that one is. The one we passed, approved on July 1st, 2021.
Does the same people that made the motion have to rescind it?
No, I don't think so. I was prepared to do that in case that was a
Yeah.
question, but I don't
have
believe so. We're not reconsidering it. It's a brand new, it's agenda for rescission, so.
And Mr. President, I did put the date in that trustee Swanee indicated it's July 1st, 2021, when the motion was actually.
Right.
Uh,
And just for your edification, all the other municipalities have now approved it. We're the last one in the cycle this time. We were the first one, so everybody else had their fingers in it. Now it's come back. We're the last one. Once we go domini, it'll be a done deal. So to speak.
Okay, so we have on the floor a motion to rescind the July 1st North Prairie Joint Municipal Court Agreement that we approved, previously approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up on the agenda is the revised municipal court agreement. So if I can make and then I do have one question for you, Trustee Solani, but I will make a motion to approve the agreement for the operation of the joint municipal court agreement with the town of Eagle, Village of Eagle, town of McGuanago, Village of North Prairie, and the Village of Vernon pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 660301 and 7755.01. Sub 4, and to authorize the village president to sign the agreement. Sign the agreement.
I'll second the motion.
Under discussion, and I follow everything you say. I agree with all the changes. The only thing is that 1%. Everybody knows that is a calendar year is the 1%, not some fiscal year. I know the way we had changed it on July 1st, we actually put in on a calendar year or a December 31st basis, and now that is, the time is struck, and so I just didn't want to have any confusion. If everybody knows it's supposed to be calendar, and everybody else has passed it, I hate to make a
It's
big.
actually in there now, but not where you're thinking.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Where our attorney Macy added the verbiage about the 1% being applicable to the total budget. Then he added for July 1 through August 1, which is actually wrong. So
Wrong.
we have since put in January 1 through December 31st in that spot.
Okay, but that little change wasn't
It is.
on this one that I'm looking at, but it is now.
It is on the final document that was sent.
Okay,
Because we did make that change at our last meeting last week.
okay. And the other question is, there is the word annual in there twice. Combined annual, total annual it's a redundant
Right.
word, but I know what that means. Maybe this is an older draft. This is the one, when I was looking at is from Rhoda dated July 29, 8:47 PM.
That's the last one. That's The last one I received, Jim, was from Rhoda.
She was the one that was to make the changes. I have a copy with it already changed in it.
Because I know we had it in there, and then you said Attorney Macy's changed it to a fiscal, and then you guys changed it back at your meeting to a calendar.
But where he changed it was only in section, I think, 4, where we're talking the budget.
Four. 6C is where I was looking for it, So that's where I was looking for it. But the year isn't.
Says the minimum contribution of each member municipality shall not be less than 1% of the combined total annual court expense for the period commencing January 1 through December 31 of the upcoming year.
Right. That is the verbiage of the final change.
Okay, so that must be after the one, Karen, on July 29th.
Yeah, I just put in the packet what Rhoda sent me.
Well, he just read what. from the
No, he
packet.
didn't. I
just put, the only thing I had was what Rhoda sent me.
But that's what he's reading.
I don't know what Carl's talking about then.
I'm reading what's in the
There's no
packet.
year.
Well, there's no date on the document itself, so I don't know if we have the
Oh,
latest
okay.
document or which document's in there.
That is the latest verbiage. That wasn't in there before.
It is on page 15 in the agenda packet.
Yeah, I was looking at a hard copy of the agenda packet. But yeah, that language, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Like I say, it is in there, and it doesn't have the year because they even mentioned that when we talked about it, because it's an annual thing. So it's always just from
Oh, sure.
January 1 to December 31.
Right.
The period that the budget is set for.
Okay, so those were my questions. Is there any further discussions, questions for Jim?
Well, in that same paragraph, though, it talks about the total annual filed cases for the period commencing July 1.
Yeah, that's the basis that we use to determine the percentage.
Okay, so it's from July 1 to June 30th to determine the percentage for the expenses.
Because we don't do the budget until August. And we're always, the budget part is for next year, the upcoming year, which is what we base, the percentage based on how many citations we
I'll give it right
have in the current previous year.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Are we ready for adoption once again, I guess?
Yeah, I had one more change, no.
Yeah. And just as a point of clarification before we take a vote, this needs to go to the courts and the county and so on. And I understand that that it's already been sent, and as our bond says, it's already been sent for approval, but we were just waiting for approval.
As soon as the village board, when you approve the bond schedule, I sent that to the municipal judge that is the judge for the municipal court, and to Waukesha County for them to import everything into their system, so, because there's no paper tickets anymore, it's done automatically. So as a follow-up tomorrow, I'll check with the judge's municipal clerk and then the county to see if there's anything they need. We're prepping for all the notifications that the officers will give people that receive citations on where they go, how they make the payment, where they go to court, all that information is ready to go.
And then after this is approved, then you'll send the copy to Rhoda, or I can take it to him tomorrow. You know,
Yeah.
she has to get everybody's.
Yeah, I do have to file a deed restriction, Jim, so I'll be out in Waukesha County. If you want me to drop it off by road, I'd be more than happy to after Carl signs it, we put the village seal on.
Whatever, like I said, I can run out there, it's no big deal.
Okay, that's fine.
I wanna make sure it gets,
Yeah,
there, it gets done.
yeah, any document I want to make sure I have them either pick it up now or, drop it off myself.
Because, although you had sent the, ordinance to her, she had everybody's ordinances except for the town of McClanago, so I assume by now they've given it to her. But I did notice, that municipal is spelled wrong on the top of our ordinance.
And you did that, sir, not me.
Oh, no, I know who did it. I've
I'll
changed it
correct
a couple
that.
of times
Right.
on copies that I've sent back and forth.
Yeah, I think I just scanned the signed copy to Rhoda. So if you want me to switch it and then have Carl re-sign, or just, if it's just fixing the top
It's
page.
a spelling error.
Yeah,
Ain't nobody fine.
okay. But she's got it. Thank you, sir.
I signed it too early. We need to take a vote.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you sign this. I'm kidding.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
I have that, sir.
And I signed it, according to the vote. We are on 6C, schedule a Village of Vernon internal controls meeting. This is a request principally by trustee DeGrave and also by trustee Dashick. We had this on our second meeting in on July 15th. And trustee, it was tabled because you were gone for a personal issue. So it's back on. I think it's on to try to get something scheduled, and trustee DeGrave, maybe you can let us know what the meeting is supposed to be about, and we can pick up our books and try to schedule something. If everyone's so inclined.
Sure. I'd really like to just have a discussion with the board and more of an educational meeting to just make sure that everybody's on the same page with regard to internal controls and how we're actually monitoring and applying those controls in the village. So it's a discussion, not really requiring actions, but I think it's just from several observations and everything, I think it would be good to just have a discussion with board members to get out all on the same page.
How long do you think it'd take?
No more than an hour.
Okay. You have some dates in mind? This would be a standalone meeting, as I understand the request, and this would be the only item on it.
Yes, please.
Because we do have meetings coming up, but, you know.
In August, at our next board meeting, probably in the August timeframe, I'm hoping to present to the board our employee handbook, safety manual, and the other one, supervisor's manual. Now, in there are potentially some changes that address procedural issues. Perhaps not necessarily the deep down accounting type issues, but there are other, procedures and the like that are spelled out, one way or the other. So it might follow up, and I don't know which should come first necessarily, but, I just wanted to point it out that we'll be handing out those manuals for the board's review. And then, depending on when you schedule for the board to talk about them,
Right. We'd have to give people there's 3 of them, and they're lengthy. I saw some earlier drafts.
Yeah, that's why I gave you 2 of them right away. But, so,
We could do the together if you wanted to.
well, yeah, I don't know how well they mesh anyhow, because the subject matter, I think, I'm assuming, on your end is more towards the financial,
Not
not
necessarily,
necessarily.
no. But I want to keep it at a high level really focused on board members as opposed to getting into a lot of the detail.
Okay, well then that one probably could come first. Because mine gets into more of the, this is how you're gonna do it.
Good.
On some things.
Yes.
But we're probably still not,
So I'm,
we've got a pretty full August, as I remember.
Well, our budget
Because
workshops,
the budget.
yeah, the budget workshops, start on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock on every Tuesday, 17, 24, and 31. We do have a joint board and plan commission next week, Wednesday. Our regular board is the 19th. We got staff on the 26th. We have a TIF district meeting on the 26th. We've got shared services with the Village of Waukesha. That is on the agenda for closed session and later, so I can't say anything about that now, but it's on our agenda tonight. We've got a meeting for that on the August 16th. So that's what we have in August.
In the day or in the evening?
I'm totally open.
Does 9 o'clock work for people, or is it afternoons better?
9's fine with me.
Oh, then I'll have to say afternoon. No, mornings are good.
Is that good for you, Carol?
Yeah, it depends on which
Yeah.
morning.
What morning in August would work for you, sir?
Well, I'm trying to keep as clear as possible because I've got some other family issues going on too here. So, yeah, what week are we going to look at? It's easier for me to bunch meetings right at this point.
What about the 24th, what about the 25th? Because you have one on the 24th and the 26th.
Right.
Or you could do the 18th, because you have one on the 17th and one on the 19th.
Well, we could do the,
Next Thursday, the 12th.
well, it's after a plan commission meeting. I know how I'm gonna be at 9 o'clock in the morning.
But that one, that's just the plan commission on the 12th.
And board,
On the 12th, I have.
The
it
11th.
on the 11th, sorry.
He doesn't want to do the 12th because of the 11th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you're looking at 18 and 25, or 16 and 23.
Most of my Sundays are open.
Well, I suspect, Jim, you and I are gonna have to meet with Village of Big Bend here soon too on the,
Right.
probably, since the 16th is filled, probably the 23rd or the 9th. Is what, that's gonna happen on Monday at 4. We usually meet Mondays at 4.
So what's better, 18 or 25?
We did it on the 12th, later in the day rather than 9 o'clock.
Yeah, like 1:30 or something, or even 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock's actually better for me.
Yeah, we could do it on the 10 o'clock on the 12th is when you wanna do it. And what's gonna be on the agenda? Who's preparing that agenda? You're gonna send something?
Yes.
Okay. And we usually post those the Friday before, so when are you gonna have it tomorrow? Are you gonna have it Monday, or when are you having that?
I can try to have it tomorrow.
He is efficient, isn't he?
Well, you know. So 10 o'clock a.m.
On
on
the 12th.
August 12th, 10 to 11. Special board.
10 a.m.
And I'm just doing that, you just agreed by consensus?
Yeah, by consensus.
Okay. I have that in the minutes.
Okay,
We're set.
we're set? We're set?
Perfect, thank you.
What was the final date?
August 12th at 10 a.m.
RFP for Village Assessor Services, Village Board. Okay, as we left it, we authorized or directed the clerk administrator to come back with a sample RFP, which is in your packet, as long as the list of the municipalities in Waukesha County and who they use, which is also in your packet, which I found very helpful. Thank you for that.
And the information from the DOR.
And the information from the DOR. The DOR, and I thought that was very useful too to read through. They don't publish a template or a standard RFP.
Yeah, they do not.
They do not, so it's a pamphlet on things you should consider and information. I thought it was very helpful, but they don't say, well, here's a 10-pager, you just fill in the blanks and you'll be fine. So as I understand it, you developed one using, I think it's the
City of Richmond,
Richmond and
the Village of Sussex, a couple other, whoever had really good things in their RFPs, I plagiarized.
There were a couple things, out of the last paragraph, by the way. Well, both of them were all in the last paragraph. One, it refers to the village council, which we don't have. And the other one, in that same paragraph, it refers to a selection committee,
Yeah.
which is the
I marked that
village
too.
board.
Yeah,
And it
Well-
really should say village board, but
right, and those all correct, and this was meant just for you guys to rip apart, add, I don't like this, because I really wasn't sure what you'd like, but those I could correct right away.
the only other thing I saw in there, which I can probably guess why this wasn't in anybody else's, is one of the reasons I was kind of adamant that we should be doing this is because of the situation we ended up in last year. And in all RFPs that I've ever sent out in the past, I've always had some measure of I'll say the quality of work, for lack of a better term. And so I didn't see anything in there. I might have missed it.
You know why it's in the contract? It's in the assessor's contract that
Yeah, but we should be telling them that's gonna, that this is what we expect. Dropping all the way down into the 80s, to me, is not
right,
it's not acceptable. Now, that's what happened last year. I still never got an answer why. So I don't know, if it was, what the reason was. But shouldn't we say something in there, in that RFP, that we're gonna hold them to?
right. If the board would like, I could take the line that's actually in the contract that says what the assessor shall have the assessed value at. There is a line, I'd be happy to put that in there
At
also.
a minimum level.
Right. I think in the contract, it's like 95, it can't drop below 95% in an assessment year. I'll double check that, but
Yeah, just have it in a contract, obviously, wasn't enough, because we were down in the 80s,
right.
right?
And that wasn't
But
the,
we should, if we're given, maybe, and I don't know this, but maybe we're asking for the impossible or something like that. You know what I mean? If we're saying you gotta be, obviously we can't say 99% or, in there they reference accuracy of data down as low as 90%.
Mhm.
Well, that means we're accepting 10% being wrong. That's 300 houses or whatever.
mhm.
That doesn't sound good to me. I don't know.
Is there a conflict then if you put that in your contract and then in the state?
There is language where the state says that for a municipality, not for an assessor, it becomes the municipality's responsibility to make sure that their assessed levels are at such a time for such amount of time, and if not, the state will come in and do it for you and charge you. So there is that language that I'm sure all assessors are aware of. But what I could do, because I was just not really knowing for sure, it's what I said to the president, I would draft an RFP, take your comments, change it, bring it back to the board. And the other issue that the president spoke of is the attorney reviewing it. And I don't know if the board wants me to make those changes, bring it back, then send it to the attorney, or do it in conjunction with your comments to expedite it.
attorney review?
That's your
You know,
decision.
In all the RFPs I sent out in like business world, I never went to an attorney for any of them. Now, it's maybe a little different just because we're a municipality, but, I'm kinda,
But that was, it's an RFP, but which is one thing, the agreement is another.
Yeah,
well, but at this point, you're right.
and all we're talking about
Agreement,
is the
I can see
RFP.
Right.
Being legal issues, on the RFP side, this is what we're asking for.
Well, and the nice thing too, on the RFP, there is an out if you don't get what you're looking for.
We already have the statement in it that
Right.
says we can accept or reject
Right,
any and all responses if we so desire.
right.
And we can ask for more information, both written and verbal.
And the nice thing too, with any assessor that applies, all that information is on the state's website of all assessors for all municipalities. So, I mean, there's a good check for the board to be able to review what's, and there are other assessors, I should forewarn you, there are other assessors that are going to apply that aren't from Waukesha County, because when an RFP goes out, they all jump in.
Oh, sure.
And as the president stated, our assessor was made aware of the issue right away, so he's well aware.
And he's been a long time working with us over, for a lot of years. And that's why I say I'd still like to have some input on how we got out of control.
Right.
You know, so, but I think, I know I saw it in there that, one of the sentences I thought was really, really good. Oh, where, to be eligible for consideration, you have to respond to everything we asked for. Because that was always the problem in the past, is you go out for RFP and people would, the quotes or responses would come back and it wouldn't even be for what you asked for, you know, it would be, you know, so, you know, I like that.
That's a nice feature, because if they don't give you what you're asking for, you're not even gonna consider them,
Right, right.
I would assume.
That, well, that would be my vote. So just, those are the only changes or issues that I had with it. And like I say, most of them is just all in that. But I still would like to see some level of,
A level that the board would like, as a contract, as you have in, not that it states the contract, but this is what the board would like to have their assessed values at each year.
yeah,
And for assessors now, that's a lot easier now than it ever was years ago, because everything's computerized. The only problem is the market has.
And that's where they're, in that clause where we're saying, or in the standards that you had included, which were interesting, it allowed for only 90% accuracy. So that means we're accepting 10% errors. I don't know that that's acceptable. In my mind, it's not acceptable.
And trustee Solani, I totally agree. Is there a number that you would feel more comfortable, or the board would feel more comfortable? I mean, I'd be happy to change that.
Yeah, well,
100% would be pretty tough to do.
be asking a lot, perhaps. Yeah. But if we're looking at 95%, you know, I can live with that, or some number reasonably close to that. But in other areas in that standard, it did say, oh, this type of data, and I couldn't tell the difference between the different types of data that they're referring to. So you know, I thought that was weird. One was 95% accuracy, and the other one was 90%. And I swear they said the same, looked to me like the same verbiage, but then again, you know.
Yeah, and I'm, but
But
that's,
95, if that's close to what we're looking for a percentage to be at or, you know, around, then that would be, to me, about the right number.
What does the state
90.
90%.
Yeah.
Then why are we putting 90?
We're better than the rest of the state. I'm sorry, obviously.
Well, and really, the only errors that should actually happen is an error between the county and the assessor, because if the assessor is working with the building inspector and importing that information that the building inspector is giving to, that's where a lot of your accuracy maybe isn't 100%. Not that it affects the overall assessed value, but that's an error that can cost the municipality a lot of money if an assessor's not on that, which our assessor is. But then
But
you,
because it is computerized, a lot of their algorithms is what, one of the things that I'm questioning.
right,
You know, whether we're using the right algorithms or the particular assessor we're using is using the current best of breed, type. And I don't know, but that's the only thing that, in my mind, that would account for our numbers being off as far as we were.
and is that in agreement with the board? Should I do the 95% overall as the attainable goal?
That's below. What do you do with the high then?
I don't think there is a high. There's just a,
100% would be high, but we ain't gonna get that, right?
Well, some have been over 100%. Some have been over, like 102, 103%.
I don't know how you can be bigger than the whole. You know what I mean? You can't go over 100%, because that would be everything in the town.
I'm pretty sure that we've had some.
equal, in the village of Vernon, or town?
Yeah, here.
Well, that's easy to check, really easy, because I pulled our last 10 years and it never,
But anything
you-
higher than our
Well,
minimum
when
would
it-
be acceptable.
When he redoes it and does his numbers and everything, can't he go over? I just think that you can.
I think it drops so fast that even if he does go over, because he was at 100%, we dropped immediately to 95 because of the change in the markets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can be higher than 100%.
Are you talking about assessed value or equalized value? I don't know what,
Yes.
of assessed value or equalized value?
Assessed value can exceed equalized value. It can and it has in Vernon. I remember it. 101 or 103%. I've lived here 30-some years, maybe once or twice in those 30-some years. Okay? Might be once. But how it happens is they do a reval. He comes up with his assessed values as of January 1.
They can't hear you, Carl, you gotta
Oh,
talk.
sorry. On a reval, the assessor comes up with his revaluations, assessed values as of January 1. So January 1, 2021, he has everybody at an assessed value. The changes, people get notices, open book occurs, we go to board of review, and now it's May, June. By the time we get done with that process, the Department of Revenue in the meantime is studying the assessed values with actual market prices, and they'll come up with a market value, an estimated market value. That's the Department of Revenue, and that's not our assessor that comes up with that. Our assessor is supposed to have come up with that already. And if he hits it square on, it's a fraction, assessed value divided by estimated fair market value. This last time it came out to 97%, something like that. It got as low as 84%. And is it possible that fraction could be 100%? Yeah. The assessed value exceeds the equalized fair market value, it could be. How does that happen? He overshoots the assessed values. Why does he do that? Back to your point, what is the software he's using? And I've talked to our existing assessor about the software he uses and what inputs he puts in there. It's not the software, magic software, and it's AI, artificial intelligence, figuring all this out. There is manual entries, like, for example, the one example I like to bring up is, okay, you have a paved driveway of concrete, paved of asphalt, and gravel. Why is there only $1,500 difference for a gravel driveway? Shouldn't it be more like based on the number of linear feet in your driveway? And shouldn't concrete be valued more than asphalt? $1,500 in Vernon. Well, I think some people like me would quibble with that. I think it should be more, because I know how much concrete driveways and asphalt driveways cost. And it's different if you have a 40-foot driveway or a 200-foot driveway. So it's that kind of thing. And that could cause that percentage. And what we're talking about under the standard contract, including this, they say, well, the scope of work, number one, assessor will perform all work required properly and professionally, blah, 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 in accordance with applicable state statutes, 90%. That's what the state statutes say. That's not to say that we shouldn't strive for a higher percentage. And there are assessors who will say, we'll tweak it every year if you want us to. Tweak it by raising everybody, 1%, 2%, 3%, revalue every year on the computer, on the computer software, every single year if you want, or every other year, or we'll wait till it goes below 90 and then we'll do it. Now, the trouble in Vernon is it went below 90 and then it wasn't done. It wasn't done, and then it had to be done. And it should have been done as soon as we dropped below 90.
Yeah.
So, but we could say 95%. There are some assessors who will say, well, we'll do it every other year if you wanna, or every year.
Right.
Or we'll wait till it goes to 90. And they might even come up with, well, you can do it this way, or we can do it annually, we can do it every other year. Here's 3 different prices, here's how we're gonna do it. I don't know what kind of responses we're gonna get. And my question on the software is do we require them to tell us what software they're going to use or they use? And how are they gonna transition from the if our existing assessor doesn't get awarded the new agreement, how are they gonna transition from the old data, his data, to their system? How does that work?
That's always the exciting part.
And that was one thing that kept nagging on me in my mind when I was reading that. How is that going to work? How is the data transition? What kind of software? I know there's at least several different kind of market-based software. Some are better than others, and I don't know all the ins and outs of these software programs. Which one's good? I don't know. But I do know that they're inputs that are entered by the assessor in their professional judgment. And you can always quibble with those inputs. It's like the driveway example. And there's others. So I think the board here is established that they want to go out for RFPs. Anybody jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. And we'll try to move this along, but as long as we're going to proceed, I think we got to keep proceeding, and we got to figure out how to get to the finish line. The finish line would be hiring an assessor or change it, a new one if necessary. And the timing of all that and how best to proceed with the first step is the RFP and getting it done. And I don't know if other people have specific changes. I saw some typos and stuff and redundancies. I just mark them as I see them, which I can certainly,
Copy the board, and I could copy Jim's comments. And if Dan and Marie and Lorene had comments, I could put those, so you could see everybody's comments. I'll make the changes based on your comments. And the only question is, would the board like to see a finished product and then send it to the attorney? Do you not want to send it? Whatever you would like to do. I mean, I can have it ready for the next board meeting.
Yeah, I think we could have it ready. And
yeah.
And on the timing, I would say we're still okay on the timing. I'd give everybody, 30 or 45 days to.
Oh, no, 30 days.
30 days to respond to the RFP, and then we'll, pull out our calendars. And I was trying to figure that out. If we could award the contract, that first meeting in October is what I was thinking as a goal.
Right, because the assessor is involved somewhat in the tax bills and stuff, and.
And we need to know the number for the budget anyhow. That we're gonna be
Right.
rocking with. Whether it's gonna be different than what.
The dollar amount for the assessor services for 21, yes. So that's the timing I was thinking of, award that,
Right.
the first meeting in October. With the backup being, as we all know, governments, we still have the second meeting in October to get it
Right, and
done.
the only thing is legal review isn't as fast as it used to be on a lot of documents
Right.
either.
Plus, we have to get an agreement in place with the new assessor,
Right.
or the old assessor for that matter.
Well, that old contract was, reviewed by the village attorney.
Right.
When we were at
But
town.
we're gonna have to make changes on the percentages, for example, on the equalized value, potentially.
I don't know what's in it,
Right.
because whatever's in it didn't seem to,
Well, contract is only as good as the party you're contracting with, as they say.
and somehow I think a lot of that is our fault, that we should have known sooner somehow, to be honest with you.
Preston, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yep. So, what are we looking at? Get your changes into, or suggestions into. Here,
Board could get them by Monday.
You got mine,
I got yours.
I've gone through it pretty thorough from my standpoint.
And I just would like to show the other board members what changes, if board members are giving other changes, and then whatever you decide on legal.
Well, again, for the RFP, I don't see the need to send it for legal review. Now, the agreement, that's a contract, that's up my, yeah, especially, it'll probably be multi-year anyhow.
I would guess that they'd come in with a 3-year proposal, I'm guessing, but that would be a
Kind of the
guess.
standard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And you'd always have the clause that if they don't live up to their terms, well, not that, but you'd,
but you have the opportunity.
right, absolutely.
right. Yeah, the only thing I worry about in RFPs is, what are we missing? It's easy to read what's here,
Yeah.
but the hard part is, what are we missing? Should we be asking for something in the RFP?
And that's where you gotta trust the people that are responding to you, because they damn well
Oh,
they should know what we should be asking, what's important.
Right, a responsible bidder would, right, a responsible bidder will actually point that out.
That's the way, I tend to look at it.
should I put there, this is a test? If you find any errors,
So if we can get our comments, suggestions into Karen by Monday?
well, here's the question, does the board want to approve the final RFP, or do you want to approve it based on, the comments that we heard? Really, the comments are pretty minimal.
Right, the 19th is coming.
If the
Yeah, if the
board,
board wants to approve it, if we approve it on the 19th, we can send it out on the 20th.
right,
And 30 days would be September 20th.
you
Gives
really
us 2
should.
weeks, and then that 2 weeks for the first meeting.
Yeah,
that's enough
so if
to
it's
start.
going to a board meeting, if we get it by, on Wednesday, that way everybody can see everybody else is changing, and then you're actually approving your RFP based upon all the changes that the board has made subsequent. Does that sound good?
I think so.
Because I've already assessed, it's already out that assessors, so I have a whole line of them that Thursday night they can go out. They're,
Oh,
they're,
yeah,
they're
right.
getting their RFPs ready. They are,
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the word is out that we're going to be going out for RFPs, and the assessors that are putting together a package right now, and they're just waiting for the RFP.
Because 30 days is more than enough time to give
Right.
2 weeks, really.
And we may want to whittle it down to 2 or 3 of them and have them come in here and ask specific questions. So we have to be comfortable with whoever we hire. It's a personal, we have to deal with them personally. We should get along with him or her personally. Because they
Yeah.
are at Board of Review and they are with our residents. They ought to check references.
And to be perfectly honest, most assessors have RFPs ready to go. So a month is more than enough time. So you really could even do 2 weeks and you
I'd say
get,
20 days is probably good.
right.
enough.
You'll
Probably good
you'll
enough,
get your you'll get your cream of the crop ready to go. So I wouldn't do a month. I wouldn't give them a month.
All right, so
But you can decide that at the next board meeting.
Right, so the plan would be get your comments and.
By Wednesday.
By Wednesday, you're gonna turn around a draft.
Yep, get it
So
all
there might
ready.
be further comments.
Right.
Based on, I don't
But you could
pick on
change,
anybody. Jim makes a comment and I say.
but you could change it at the
I
board
can make it
meeting.
better. Which would,
And you know how Fortner is on typos.
it's an occupational hazard. If I see it, I mark it.
So is it all right that I just indicate that the village board by consensus will get their comments to the clerk administrator by Wednesday, the 11th?
Sounds good to me.
Good,
Or is
by
it-
consensus? I got yeses on everybody.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Got it, board members.
Okay, so now we are, credit card agreement with
President
Menards.
Carl.
We've got updated agreements. It's in your packet. We've got to take off people, of course, and put people on and get caught up. These are mostly DPW. John, your employees understand our policies, I assume. Yeah, we haven't had an issue, have we? Never. So,
And did any of your deputy clerks, are they on the list? Or not?
I never send them out. Most stuff, that's usually an emergency, or sometimes, there's been times that DPW guys are busy and they need grass seed and I'll go pick it up, and so. I know what you're gonna say. I do it after hours.
But it's something you're still doing,
I know.
and I just
I know.
concentrate your time on the most important stuff.
It's like an emergency for elections, or I don't have to go to Menards very often. But in the event I ever do, I just want to be, and I usually don't charge it. I put it on my credit card.
Which
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing either, that's why we have the account
But I
card.
don't think I've been to Menards for,
These don't have cards.
right.
It's just, it's just,
They're just authorized,
it's a number, they actually check your ID, so you're on the list. I mean,
yeah.
they're pretty good about it. I mean, they check every time.
I was just thinking about the utilization of time, the most important person here, or
Next to John.
versus, a clerk.
Now you made Carl mad. What am I, chopped liver? Yeah, mine is rare. Mine's rare.
well, yeah, but you should be on it. I think, Jim, you were saying, should we put a deputy clerk on there as well? That's what you're asking.
Oh, yes, I don't.
Yeah, he's not questioning why you're on there.
Yeah.
He's saying, should we put a deputy clerk on there just in case you can send her instead of you?
Yeah. Then it would be Kay Janik.
95% of the times you need something,
They get it.
Right,
pick it up for or whatever.
because you're on your way anyway or
Yeah.
doing it anyway.
You go there for supplies quite a bit, so it's a lot cheaper than a lot of other places.
He said, right?
Okay, I got it.
So we could add another person.
Yes, we could.
Yeah, we'll put Kay Janik's name down,
Okay, so
just in
we'll-
case.
we will put her name on what we're,
On both the Menards, yeah.
Why were there two Menards mentioned there?
One's in Burlington, one's in Franklin.
They make you do individual stores.
Each store has their own. We used to have one at West Dallas.
You don't use the one in Waukesha?
I would like to, but, Franklin's actually closer probably.
Franklin,
yeah, we're in the middle of,
really?
three of them, and it's,
Yeah, sometimes.
I've looked and looked on, and it's a horse apiece where I live, whether it's Burlington, Waukesha, or the Super Menards and the Speedway in Franklin.
Yeah, I mean,
It's very,
it's a horse apiece, it really is. But we've had problems in the past where some of the materials that we needed, they didn't have everything, so we'd have to go to
Go to
several
the-
different stores.
Yeah.
That was the reason why we had that one in West Dallas. Typically, I know at the time, we had some issues with some garage door trim stuff, whatever, but so occasionally you run into that. And we have had to go out to Waukesha in the past for something, but I think I kinda let that one lapse because we don't use it enough out there.
but this one here is, on the bottom says West Dallas. Shouldn't that say the Speedway in
Well, see,
Franklin?
everyone sends a different one.
Yeah, we have other ones on file already. from
Already
other
at the
stores.
and
We have-
Franklin.
Yeah, I know one of them, yeah.
We already have one on file with Franklin with the updated ones.
Franklin one,
I thought we do have one for Waukesha.
We did, I don't receive that paperwork as much though.
Mm-hmm.
The Burlington and the Franklin ones are really on top of it, they're always updating their information, it seems.
I've lived here 40 years and I only go to the one in Waukesha, you know. Why, I don't know, I mean,
Because of the piano.
that must be it.
You like to take your cart up on that ramp. That's what you like.
That is kinda cool, being
That
going
is
up
cool,
that ramp.
and that's the only one that's like that around here. So
Yeah.
I know people drive out of their way just to do that, whether they're in there to buy stuff or not, so. All right, well, let's get these two done and add K.
Just have one quick question.
Yep,
Which charges does, or what store does Alex use?
Feldy, right.
They do have the fire department on their list at Franklin. I know in the past, I've seen it pop up when they're looking for my account.
I'd love to see
And it says for the fire department. But that was a couple of years ago, or it was a while ago, and I'm not sure if he still has that updated yet, so.
Cause here, Pat, that's where they used to work full-time, wasn't it?
Oh, they go to Home Depot.
Oh, that, yeah.
I've never seen a Menards charge for them.
I know it's been a while, like I said, I know I've seen it in the past down there, but it's been a while, so.
And they have a card for Home Depot.
Yeah, they have, yeah, and those you approve, through the APs. They charge all that, and then you see the receipts or Costco or Sam's Club. Those three, but mostly hardware and things are all bought from Home Depot. Because they give them a government discount also. And Johnny too.
So let's get these two approved unless,
Motion approved?
motion to approve the two as, with the addition. I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Carol, did you second that?
Yes, I seconded it. Yeah, I suppose, John, we should probably pull all of those sometime, maybe during budget time, just to review them all. All the agreements, make sure we're up to date. Wouldn't
Yeah,
hurt.
Home Depot's, like I said, they'll send out an update every once in a while, same with Tractor Supply,
And, we've got local hardware stores too that we use.
Ace
Yep.
up in McClanago.
Yeah. Okay, we are on to the Waukesha County Joint Powers Agreement for County 911 Emergency Service. I received this in the mail, and I'm like, Karen, what is this? We've never signed it. I've been chairman, president for 3 years. I've never seen this.
I've been here since 2013. I've never seen this either,
And it's supposed to be done annually.
by state statutes. We haven't done one since 2009. You were the queen then.
So it's a request from the county. I assume that this is the same one everyone else signs in the county.
It is, and then you're gonna get another one, because I said, is it Gary Bell?
Yeah, Gary Bell.
I asked him to get the 2022 ready also, so we're consistently in conformance with the state statutes.
Well, I'm glad it works without an agreement.
I didn't question what it was really for. Is it really the 911 phone process, or was it something else?
I think it's both. It's the 911 and the emergency government, enactment. I mean, there's a process, a statutorial process for 911 and for the emergency response.
Right.
So my assumption, it's somewhat both.
That's kind of the way I was reading it, but I don't know if that's right or not.
I don't even remember this from years ago.
Oh,
Do you,
no, that's the first I've ever seen it. So, yeah.
do you remember this, Marie? So, well, you're gonna see it every year now.
But Carl's name's going on it, right?
What's that?
But Carl's name goes on it, right?
Yes.
On behalf of the Village of Vernon.
Motion approved.
Is there a second? So it would be a motion to approve and authorize the village president to sign it, right? And a second by trustee Kumischak. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are on to correspondence, announcements, and report. First up, Village Board President and Village Trustees. President's report. First off, a little word about our health situation. I know with the COVID and the Delta and the news lately, it is affecting Vernon residents. I just checked today, and according to the DHS website, 19 Vernon residents have contracted COVID in the last 2 weeks that we know about, that have positive tests that are reported to the state. Before that, to come up with 19 new cases in Vernon, you'd have to go back weeks and weeks into May. So there was a time where we went week after week or day after day without any new cases, but no longer in the last 2 weeks. So please be safe and get vaccinated or talk to your health provider and keep your distance and avoid big crowds, I guess. School's coming up and we want our kids back in school in person. At least I do. Second, we did have a shared services committee meeting. We'll talk about that in closed session. Shared services with the Village of Waukesha, we'll talk about that in closed session. We will come out in open session and conduct any business that needs to be conducted in open session so the public knows. I don't anticipate any decisions to be made, but in the event there is one, we will do that in open session. Otherwise, our garbage situation about residents, I didn't hear too many missed. I didn't. That doesn't mean there haven't been.
It's getting better.
It's getting better, a little better anyway.
Oh, a lot better than 127 calls in a weekend, so.
Right.
It is getting better. I mean, there's,
Mine was picked up today for what it's worth, but I'm just 1 out of 3,000.
but the board, just so the board knows, we do have a log,
Right.
an extensive log.
And residents are encouraged to get a hold, and there's new numbers based on zip code to call. They're on the website. Get a hold, they should call Waste Management first and then let Village Hall know so we can keep a log. What else do we have? And I think that's it for me. So we will, let's go to reverse order. First of the month. We'll start with Trustee
That's me
Ditch.
again, right?
Yeah.
I just want to say that I've noticed that people are still taking the chance and doing some burning in their yards of brush and various things. And it's so dangerous out there that please be careful. The lawns are crispy now. It wouldn't take much for a fire to start. That's all I have.
Trustee Kumischak.
Now that Lorraine brought that up, we always drive by the other fire station with the bear and it says low. And is that actually kept up to date? Because it's been low through this drought. And it's not being kept up.
I did, I'll interject here, sorry. I did, and then we'll get back to your other comments. I did ask Chief Feldy about that.
Okay.
I was just on a week's trip across the state, and it's far different on the western side of the state. It's like a rainforest over there compared to here. And there it's very low, but here it's low. And I had the same question. I think I got an email or a text or a call from a resident asking the same thing. You know, how's that sign determined? And shouldn't it be high? I mean, you could light your whole subdivision up at this point, the grass, if your fire got out of control.
Yep.
So, yeah, I asked Chief Feldy to look into that. So I have not heard, that was earlier this week, I have not heard back from him.
Okay.
But maybe we can get a report on that next board meeting, an answer to that question. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
No, that's it.
Okay. Trustee DeGrave?
Well, our treasurer isn't here tonight, but I saw a treasurer report in our packet for the first time, and I was just thrilled that we at least have a treasurer report. So compliments to our treasurer, and at least we have a report that we can now work with going forward. Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Thank you. Trustee Slaney.
I had just a couple of things. One, I'll kind of hold off and talk about the shared services. This Tuesday at around 11:30 or so, I saw one of our fire trucks parked on top of the bridge, the overpass over the expressway on Center Drive. They had
On the expressway.
cones out, and I think it was a ladder truck, or had a ladder on top of it. Anybody know what that was about?
The remains of a fallen soldier. They were all the way from Milwaukee County to Elkhorn. Every bridge had fire department members, and as the hearse came through, they were saluted.
I wonder how it is that I didn't know about that.
I questioned it too, and I did get a report from the sheriff's department.
Did it?
I was surprised that the veterans weren't.
That's why
I
I'm
know we're-
surprised that I didn't know
I know
about
we're
that.
off topic, but that's what it's for. As a fallen soldier's remains was found and out of respect.
He was actually killed here. He wasn't killed overseas. He was in a car accident or something.
Oh, and there was one like 3 weeks earlier. That person was actually, that was the remains were found. There was one that happened yesterday, on the freeway, and then that Tuesday, and then like 3 weeks ago, that was an actual, I don't know what war but that was a veteran that remains were found, and he was buried in Elkhorn. So they were saluting him from Milwaukee all the way to Elkhorn.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I assumed it was something like that, but I was just disappointed that I hadn't heard anything about it from, you know,
Oh, yeah, especially with your involvement with the veterans.
yeah, so, okay. That's pretty much it for now.
Okay, thank you. DPW, John Henneberry.
Oh, all right. We've been really busy with shouldering with our paving program for this year. We've been trying to get the shouldering done. We had to pull off the shoulder work last week with that storm that came through. We had a lot of storm damage, and so we spent Thursday, Friday, Monday, basically picking up what we could, cutting down what was falling, and then right away. I backed off after that, and I was taking phone calls. I told them just put it out by the road. And after today, tomorrow we're gonna go out, pick up whatever's out there, and then we're gonna be done. I said, I gotta draw a line somewhere, so I gave them a week to get their stuff out to the road and call and have it picked up. I'm already having people cutting trees in their backyards and bringing them out. So that's why I'm trying to limit to just the storm damage, but I mean, it's pretty obvious when you get there and everything's freshly cut, that it wasn't from a storm. So
Right.
I figure I'll give them a week, and if after that we'll be done picking that up. So it was quite a bit. It was actually scattered around town quite a bit. There was a lot in Heather Ridge. We had a lot of trees down there and backyards and whatnot. So typically, if they can get out to the road within a reasonable amount of time, we picked up and shipped it. So.
Right, and that's been our historical policy. We deviate from our spring brush pickup
Yes.
for storms.
Yes, we've always done it since I've been here, so, like I said,
But it's not to be abused by residents.
That's-
It's supposed to be
that's-
storm damage, and you should get it out there the weekend after the storm comes
right.
through.
That's why I said I'll give them through today, and after that, and that's it, so. But, then we'll be back on the shouldering. We've got probably 85% of the shouldering done. We got some cul-de-sacs to do. We do that a little differently with the auger in the truck. The straightaways we can do with the grader. It's a little easier. We can't make the radiuses with the grader on the cul-de-sacs. So we have to do that with a auger and shoot it out. And then we had a problem with the auger. The motor went out on us, so we had to replace the motor on the auger. But we had a spare one here, so. pretty much, we're still waiting for that excavator to show up. We're hoping this month to see it. Like I said, West Dallas was, ordered one exactly like what we ordered. They just got theirs like 2 weeks ago. So we're next on the list here. So the next one that comes on the line is gonna be coming our way.
We did, can I stop you for a moment, Jim? Trustee Solani and I bumped into a salesperson for an excavator, looking to see you after hours, because Jim and I were here, leaving, and he left his information on your door. But-
Yeah, Dan McCarthy
Yeah.
from, LF George. I actually saw him yesterday.
Okay,
He sells a different brand of Mechalec, that a lot of the municipalities have been buying. They are quite a bit more costly than what we purchased. They are a little handier, I guess. They're a German-made thing, but they're getting to be really big in the United States. So they're actually coming a long way with those. But
okay.
we'll see. So, yeah, I did actually talk to him yesterday at the Public Works meeting. I ran into him out there. So. I was supposed to meet with this week with there's gonna be setting the curbs on the new Pheasant Run entranceway and stuff today, or we were supposed to be meeting up there today, but they're not even close to having those set and poured, cause then we were supposed to, do a proof roll with Paint and Dolan to get that first layer set for them to pay that. But that all got pushed back. I just got an email this afternoon actually stating that, they're still doing a little bit of road work on where they took the cul-de-sac out to, basically make the driveways work a little better for the homeowners that were there. They had a little issue with the height of the road in context of their driveways.
Okay.
One driveway was still, it went downhill to his garage, and the other one goes, cross street goes uphill. So trying to draw a fine line as to, this guy gets a little bit up over here, but he'll get a little more over here, and how they can engineer.
Where the road connects into the existing road.
Yeah, so.
Right.
It was a little high to begin with, where they came up, and he was under the assumption that was all gonna get cut out, and he would have a flat driveway going into his garage. And I said, that was never.
This is at the end of the cul-de-sac where they're clipping the temporary bulb, if you will.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. He was on one side of that bulb, so.
And the other guy's on the other side, yeah.
So it's like, yeah. So they actually re-engineered, Andy had them re-engineer it, come up with a little different grade, change and they're working on that right now. So hopefully next week we can get pretty close to getting that wrapped up out there. I mean, they're getting really close, so. Speaking of Paint and Dolan, I did get an invoice today for the 2021 paving program. Came in at $318,102, which is actually about $6,249.76 under bid.
Yay! Sorry.
That's pretty rare. But I wanna confirm that with him. That's why I called him this afternoon. I didn't get the weight tickets and stuff from him. Yeah, I usually go over all the numbers and make sure they're all accurate from what he's got in here.
Andy, it passed inspection with Andy and all that?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I gotta send this to him too. He's on vacation this week, so. But, so that's good sign. Came in under bid for once. So, we've been working on the ambulance, and, one fire truck, Bo had, done the brakes. One ambulance, the brake line was actually blown on. The, engine from Waterford, that one had, rear brakes kept locking up on it. And he basically rebuilt the rear brakes for him, so. He's been pretty busy with their stuff too, so. But, like I said, saving a lot of money.
I think Chief Hildy had
Yeah, Chief Eldey has
some
nice,
Okay, well, that's good. I didn't know if you guys were aware that we're doing that much for them guys.
I wasn't,
Yeah.
but he mentioned it at our
shared services meeting when he was here on Monday. He mentioned it and mentioned that,
Really happy with
yeah.
the work you guys are doing.
and we did see some invoices in our accounts payable too for the break,
Trying to keep
for the parts.
something out, right?
Right.
So, the hours and stuff, I really haven't been keeping track of. I don't know if that's something if you guys feel that's necessary, but we haven't ever done it before. It was mostly just for parts and whatnot. Right? Huh? Okay, well.
Yeah, it would be,
Okay.
yeah.
But, then we have a little bit of improvements on the end of Skyline up there. I'd like to do, there's a guardrail at the dead end up there in the north end. Now that we raised that road a little bit, that guardrail is really low, and I would like to get it back up to specs. And then I'll put a little more, reflective and dead end signage up there, because people come through there, and there's only one sign that says no outlet there or something. It was, you know, so at some point.
This is north on Center past Skyline, you're saying?
Very dead end,
Yep,
yes,
okay.
But it just needs to be updated a little bit. I mean, like I said, because of the road, the height difference now with the new pavement, that guardrail is a little lower than it should be probably, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to Andy about that and get all specs and everything from him, but it's just, it is signage basically too, just, you know.
This is north of Skyline, in there,
Yeah.
not the guardrail south that we
no,
just
no,
fixed
that
all
ends
up.
right
Yeah,
there.
okay.
It's just- That ends right into, basically into the woods if you.
Yeah, if you keep going.
But, you know, this stuff like that, we kind of noticed as we were going through the paving process here. One side, we had to add a little more shoulder material, because when we were putting our gravel in, it was basically just sliding down the hill, so we had to build that up a little bit. And we have one more spot we may have to do that with too, so. A couple spots here and there that we gotta do a little more than just gravel work, basically, so. But that's about it for now. Keep us busy with that, trying to keep that going.
One quick question, John. The last couple of days, I've seen a piece of equipment go out and goes up straight north. It's got the brush on the front end.
Yeah, we use that for when we're putting the gravel down, and then we use the grader to grade it off onto the shoulder. That leaves a lot of gravel on the road. So then we'll take the water truck, water it down, and use a sweeper and sweep the roads clean.
The driver, blonde hair, ponytail.
Yeah.
Is that one of yours?
Yeah.
People?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't,
You don't know Tyler?
no.
We're gonna have to have a picnic.
He lives in your backyard.
Hey, you bought the old
He's your neighbor.
Crookshank property?
Yeah?
That's where Tyler lives.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that.
Well, you're gonna have to meet him, Jim.
Yeah, he's.
Oh, okay.
And his kids.
Now,
Yeah.
how many, 7? He's not Catholic. No, I'm sorry.
So, yeah,
I was just wondering where,
the sweeper is what, yeah, so basically, we got 4 pieces of equipment up there. We have a truck with gravel, we have a grader, we have the sweeper, and the water truck up there,
oh,
with 3 guys. And Bo's usually working on the fire truck, so. So, I mean, I go up there as much as I can, try and do what I can, you know, so. I said, when it comes time to shoulder, it takes a long time, and that's why I said, for next year, careful on how much you wanna bite off, because we really do so much, you know.
Right, we'll have to be very careful we'll have that discussion during budget
Yeah,
about that issue in
I
particular.
mean, painted all will shoulder.
But
We got a budget.
caught for a big cost,
I mean, kind of defeating the purpose by keeping it in-house, that way, you know.
right? And you're in touch with the county, they've got some road projects down here, around the Mohawk, schools, Waquanago Public Schools, so that affects people in Vernon, that's where we send our children, so.
Right, and the Kurt that I texted today, or emailed, he's the one I was gonna ask about that, because he's running a couple of these projects, so. He's a pain going to look at.
Right, so let's be, the residents should be aware that there is gonna be some construction
Right.
in and around the schools, Parkview and the high school in particular. Okay, are we good with John? Thank you, John. Treasurer's report, it's in the investments, and it was mentioned by trustee DeGrave, there is a report in there. So that information is in your packet. He cannot attend tonight, so we're on to the clerk administrator.
My reports are so extensive that I'm not gonna go through them, but I do have reports that I'm gonna give to the board, especially as it relates to public hearing and impact fees for stormwater, floodplain redistricting, and the census reports. I've been to tons of meetings this week, and I have more to come, but as soon as I get those essential public hearing notices and dates and information, I'll get those to you, but I just wanted to report to the board, that's what I've been busy doing, and getting your budget ready. And John, you're gonna check we had a couple phone calls on properties on National Avenue that are putting in new XL decel lanes. And we're getting calls. We have something on the website now. A hydro excavation is demolishing the miniature golf course. They have permission to do that. They have permission to take down the building. They don't have their permits yet to put up the new building, but we're getting a lot of phone calls from residents asking what's happening. Full approval from the Village and Plan Commission, so they're in full compliance. But we do have that now on Facebook and on the website because we're getting a lot of calls on what's happening there. So that's all I have.
Right, and that the Plan Commission and the Village Board approved in its January meeting.
I-
January of this year, I think
Yeah.
that's right, when I looked. So there's information on them in the
Public hearing notice.
public hearing notice and minutes for that
Right.
January meeting.
And they were very comprehensive in their, submittals to the village, so.
They haven't started taking down the building yet.
No, and I know the fire
There's the fire
department, they would like to do some practice burns and burn it, and Doug Anderson, the owner, has no problem doing that. He's just running up into now with issues with, not so much the DNR, it's We Energies. We Energies is backed up months and months, and so,
They look like they did a pretty extensive work on the landscaping.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much flattened that whole hill down.
right, yeah. Yep. So, just so everybody knows that they've got all their approvals to do the demolition, and we're just waiting on the state and our permits for the building. And that's all I have.
Thank you. On to finances. Accounts payable August 5th. There was a,
John's leaving. Good night, John. Thank you, John.
thank you, John.
Thank you, guys.
There was
Phone
one,
call.
one check that got revised,
Just added
to,
a new check
right.
for the 8719 for the
Yeah,
shipping.
so that's a regular check. That is not going to be a manual check, correct?
No, we just added one more check.
Right. So you've got the revised one on your desk, and that's what it was for, certified laboratories, the amount changed. Oh, no, the amount was the same, you just added another check
Right.
to certified laboratories. So certified laboratories is gonna get two checks.
Right, instead of voiding it, and I just thought,
Okay, I get it. Yep, I see
Yeah.
that. Yep. Yes, there were shipping charges that were missed on that. And then LifeQuest reimbursements. So I know there's, how many is in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
10?
9, 10, I think. And these are duplicate payments, or 11, sorry. So if we could kind of get an update on the procedures on those refunds, I'd appreciate it for the board. I think trustee DeGrave was looking at some of that.
For the most part, our treasurer handled that. And with Kay, I believe it was.
Right, I
Kay
mean,
and LifeQuest, they pretty much got a lot of documentation.
right. And the only time that happens is when not a petitioner, a patient
Patient, right?
pays and they pay, and we can actually see it in the account. And that's what we showed Terry how to do, is click on the deposit, you can see the checks, and if he needs to, we actually produce that manual check, the payment, so that when the board's seeing what LifeQuest put in their account, they'll actually see the actual payment that went into the LifeQuest account also.
So they look for the duplicate payments through the LifeQuest account,
Well,
and
it's
then,
not necessarily just duplicate payments. It's kind of strange. Because it really doesn't show what we billed to the insurance companies. And then there's payments from the patient. There's multiple payments from the insurance companies, but then we're reimbursing the patient. Sometimes a larger amount than what they paid. But I'm not sure how all that LifeQuest stuff works. But I know we got the money, and therefore if they're saying we owe them a refund, I felt comfortable with saying yes.
And just so the board knows, those refunds are not mailed to the person, they're mailed to LifeQuest. And LifeQuest has to do an accounting that the auditor does, pick and choose, especially when there's a refund. And he's, just so the board knows too, our auditor is passworded into LifeQuest and is checking things along with our software and stuff, so.
Okay,
Just
good.
give you another comfort level, not that he's auditing them, but when there is a refund,
Because it's coming out of our account.
right.
And, okay,
Right, so,
good, I
so
feel,
There are 10 of them on this month.
11 I counted, but yeah.
Yeah, I just counted 10. But is that kind of just a cleanup process? or-
Yes.
yes, because some of these go back to September of last year.
Okay,
Right.
that's kind of what I was.
It's,
hoping
yeah,
you guys
it's
here,
Yeah,
like,
we put them in the June 3rd APs, and then they were denied for further information. The information was documented, and then once the board approves the APs, those checks, not the documentation, because they have it, but those checks will be sent to LifeQuest, and it's then their responsibility to get, not ours, because they do all the billing, collecting. That's their final closeout to that account.
So have we done anything to correct this from happening in the future?
Yes, what'll happen now is when the reports come in, they're checked by my staff, and they'll give them to Terry, and then Terry now knows how to look up a refund. And that will be, and they don't happen that often, but there's so many because, when we started with LifeQuest, if you think this is a mess, but it's getting a lot better, a lot better.
good question, yeah.
Right, from, I think, the board or the Vernon's perspective is, we want to make sure that there's a refund owing, because there's been an overpayment, and also we want to make sure that we're refunding it to the proper person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's 10, I miscounted I had it counted, and then I miscounted, now I counted, it's 10. There's 10.
Did you say you made a mistake?
I said I miscounted.
Oh,
So is the new total 87,276.35?
that is correct, sir.
Does that include the 8719? Did I make a motion to approve, whatever the batch number is?
Batch 20210805,
And I have the amount, sir.
That batch?
Yes.
That amount, yep.
in the amount of 87,276.35, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I just have one question.
Whoops.
All right.
You know, when you give them their mileage and telephone reimbursement, is that normal practice to do it as a separate check, or should that go into their payroll?
The village has always done it since, oh my God, before it's split. They've always done it that way.
Separate check.
A separate check as well as John and Carl and I.
Follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
Is that all taxable?
No,
No.
That's why it's really done as a separate check?
that's how it's always been done. Yes.
I'm aware of that, I'm just, but
But it is income.
it is income, I'm just saying. Shouldn't it be?
No, it's an expense reimbursement.
I do have something from the audit.
Reimbursement if there's documentation for that expense.
Right, and the IRS has rules on that, in particular for cell phones and other things, but, yeah, the issue, I think, is not $50 for your cell phone, because that's gonna pass with the IRS. It's the ones that are,
150 and 200.
right, those are the ones that are questionable. And the reason why they are is because part of it is for mileage and idling and gasoline and using their
We can pay
personal
for the gas
cars.
Anyhow, so I don't,
I don't think they can fill up their personal cars here. They better not be able to.
No, I've never seen them do
No,
that.
but I've seen the red ones come over, you know.
Oh, the response, the Tahoe and, yeah, yeah, those they do.
Those are Vernon trucks, though.
Right.
Right.
Well, when you get
That's how
to,
they go to most fires.
when you get to, Alex is first on the docket.
I'm
You
aware.
get your fire department questions ready.
Right, that's a fire, yes.
And you know, that's part of the agreement, that's how it's been. I'm just saying, doesn't that make us, the village liable if there's an issue with the IRS down the road?
I do have something in writing from the auditor on the phone bills, but not the phone bills related to the
John.
chair, yeah, the three of us. I don't have
I know
anything.
the IRS rules for the mileage has changed and they've gotten softer on it, but, you know, I had to log real miles.
Well, even the weed commissioner always was paid by a stipend,
Right.
and Gary won't be. He's gonna be paid as a payroll one time after the board approves it, because he shouldn't get a 1099. They've never have, but it's income, so it has to be reported. It's to protect them also. And when we have, like next year, my chief inspectors and deputy, they'll go on actual payroll because they can make under 600, and most of them do, but when they start running into putting that many hours in, you know, we run them as an employee then, to protect them and protect us.
So then the mileage and the phone bills, if it goes to 600, then you have to give a 1099 and they have to claim it.
I'd get a ruling on. You mean the stipend for the phone?
Yep.
If it goes over 600?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know about the stipend, but I know if you,
Only in a couple of months.
well, theirs is my phone and mileage, so
Yeah, but we have no documentation for mileage at all.
never have we had document.
I know, I'm just saying,
Yep.
that ain't according to Hoyle.
They may not even go out on call that month, but they're gonna get paid mileage.
True, although I know the guys aren't just sitting around, I mean, you know, they go out on calls, I don't question that, it's just that I don't think we're following the letter of the law here. And as the village, I think we have to, but on the other hand, I don't know what the specifics laws are that we have to follow. I don't know what the current mileage laws are, or the caps for phone, you know, that type of thing. I mean, I don't have a problem paying them the amount. To me, that's not the issue, we got one of the best fire departments around. The issue is, are we doing this the proper way?
Legally,
Yeah.
from an IRS standpoint.
Right. But I know that you have to, if you're over 600, you have to get a 1099, correct?
If they are not providing the expense detail.
Right.
Or correct. That's my understanding.
And I just don't know what liability the village has in the case of if some was ever contested somehow.
At some point, I think we should go back to our auditor and let them provide it. He said something about it, as long as it's a per diem, and that per diem's documented, but I don't know where it's documented,
I've never gotten documentation.
so.
Those are all good questions. Well, they're associated with approving these payables here, but they're all good questions for, to bring up during budget time and follow up on IRS reporting.
Right.
There are issues with that. Not so much the cell phone, but the other amounts in the excess.
Yeah.
So, we'll call the question.
Right.
All in favor?
I
Opposed? Motion carries. Manual checks?
There are none, sir?
None. June 2021 ACH. I had those somewheres. there, where are they, where are they, where are they?
June, ACH.
June ACH.
Trustee
For a
Kumish,
motion to approve.
excuse me, Trustee Kumischek, I just want to let you know I did note that for the record and in your discussion. The board's concerned. Thanks for reading, Mr. President.
Yes, we have, we're looking for a motion to approve.
Karen, on the ACH, is this strictly payroll?
There's almost all of those entries that are done, yes, are payroll or a garnishment.
Okay. We don't have any other ACH payments?
Those are ACH payments that are done in advance, like these are done June, you're approving. They're done in conjunction with payroll, but we don't get the bank statements for you to verify, the numbers that I'm actually reporting to you.
So for example, you had some We Energies bills at one point
Yeah,
that you paid by ACH,
And those
correct?
are approved in accounts payable.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, separately.
So
These
this
are,
report is strictly payroll related?
yes, yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Right, so we're looking for a motion to approve June 2021 ACH transactions in the amount of $112,507.93. Is that right? Is
That is correct, sir.
Motion to approve?
there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Okay, on the agenda, Citizens Bank Quarterly Securities Report for your information, June 2021 financials for your information, and information regarding past and current internal controls report
Yep, just for information.
for your information, so that might be helpful for our meeting next week. We are on to Village Board minutes, July 15th, 2021. I did read those, and I had some minor corrections, I think.
We made those.
You made those, so unless there's further corrections or discussion, looking for a motion to approve the July 15th, 2021 Village of Vernon Board minutes as revised. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 10, I'll read the next village meeting dates. Kind of went through them when we were scheduling the internal control meetings, which isn't listed, of course, because it was just set. So we've got Village Board, regular Village Board, August 19th, 7 PM. Village Board and Plan Commission meeting. There's conditional use hearing on that, so please don't have any conversation with the petitioner for that conditional use or residents or neighbors, other interested parties, as a board member. That is August 11th, Wednesday, August 11th, 7 PM. We've got our staff meeting, board and staff meeting, August 26th at 1 o'clock. Like mentioned before, board and finance budget workshops, August 17, 24, 31, and also September 7, starting at 9 o'clock. And our internal control meeting is August 12,
At 10
10 o'clock, right,
a.m.
10 o'clock a.m. Oh, that would be nice at p.m. So with that, I will make a motion to go into closed session as I read before and as printed in the agenda. If there's a second, we will take a roll call vote.
I'll second.
President Carol Fortner,
Yes.
Trustee Jim Solani,
Yes.
Trustee Dan DeGrave, Trustee Marie Kumershek, Trustee Lorene Dashik.
Yes.
Mr. President, note for record that your village board has moved to go into closed session by voice vote at 8:40.
8:40. Thank you. Do we need a 5-minute break? Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go into closed session for the benefit of the residents watching. We will reconvene in open session. There will probably be 2 items that will take some, perhaps take action on the waste management contract for an amendment, and also the tower site matter. We do not anticipate, we've already taken action on North Prairie Joint Municipal Court Agreement, and we do not anticipate taking any action on Village of Waukesha for shared services, but we might. With that, Lauren, 5-minute recess and closed session.
When are we gonna put new chairs on the agenda?
Budget. Put them in the budget.